Now that you have found the lower boundary and the upper boundary for outliers, we're going to use some methods in creating formula in Excel to exclude those outliers, like these numbers here and these numbers here. We're going to exclude them from our computation of averages or means, so that way the means won't get affected negatively by the outliers. We're going to compute mean leaf length for each of the leaves that we have that we measured, and we're then going to use those means to create a frequency histogram to look at the distribution. So you can see here that I've got a pretty complex looking formula for my average, and essentially what this means is that if I look up this Excel function, average if s function, and what it does, it returns the arithmetic mean, the average, of all cells that meet multiple criteria. So, and this, if we look at the little help bar here, you can see what it does. So this is the function, average if s, and then it tells you the range, which is in this, the B2 to Y2, and then the criteria for range 1, and then we're going to enter the criteria. Now let's think about what this means. I put in quotes, greater than or equal to, end quotes, and AB15. So here is AB15. So essentially we're going to take the average of anything, any of the data that's greater than or equal to this lower boundary value. Now here you can see that criteria range 2, and then I've got my criteria for that range. Again, we're still dealing with the B2 to Y2 data, and I've got my criteria for that, which is it has to be less than or equal to, I had to put in quotes, and it has to be less than or equal to AB16, which is the upper boundary. So basically we've created a lower boundary and an upper boundary that will be taking in that will qualify the data for us to take an average of it. So anything that's in this row here that is lower than 135 and higher than 351 will be excluded from the average. So you can create that. It's called a conditional formula, and you know it's conditional because it's got this word if in it, and there's a lot of conditional formulas, and it's a really powerful feature of Excel. So I've created this conditional formula, and the average of just this row is 274. Now one thing that we want to make sure that we're doing is we're formatting our cells correctly. We want them to be in number format, and so I'm going to format that cell, and we can adjust the decimal places. We can adjust the decimal places up and the formatting up here as well. So I'm going to choose this as number, and then I can increase or decrease the decimal places. Let's bring it just to the tenths place. The other thing we can check is these other cells. As you can see, I'm clicking on them, this stays in number, so they've already been formatted to number. Now this one is general as well. I'm going to format all of these cells here. We're going to deal with ones below later. I'm going to format these to number. Okay, and then what I can do is I can just copy this formula down here, and it will affect this. Now, we see that we got divided by 0, so something went wrong. Let's check to see what went wrong. It looks like as I copied the formula down, it took the correct row, but then it moved the conditional cells that I'm using down. And so it would keep moving these down for every one that I did. We don't want that to happen, so I'm going to undo what I just did. Doesn't seem to be undoing that. There we go. And then if you remember correctly, I'm going to need to, in order to make this work, I'm going to have to put the $sign in here in order to keep this constant. Okay, and I'm going to do that, and let's see what happens if I copy and paste these. That worked. Okay, what happened here? Okay, well, so we've got averages for, means for each of the different rows. Notice that what happened here is all this leaf seems to have been above the criteria. And same with this leaf. Now, are these outliers? It doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like these are outliers. So we're going to have to adjust these two formula, and that's the nice thing about having that conditional formatting, is that we have we've highlighted these rows, and we can look at them and make decisions about it. It doesn't look like this stuff has been this stuff has been measured incorrectly. It's pretty consistent, except for this piece of data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to change this formula. I'm not going to make it conditional. I'm just going to go average. And then I'm going to go B14 to Y14. And there we go. Let's check to see that this makes sense. 424. Yeah, that looks like it makes sense. Okay, so I chose B14 because this is row 14. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to go equals. It's not conditional. I'm just taking the average of the things in this row. So this is row 22. So I'm going to go B22 to Y22, and that should do it. 369. Does that make sense? Yes. If I look at these, there we go. Okay. So I'm also going to well, we'll move that later. So we're going to use these means, or these average, if you will, lengths of each leaf to create a histogram, and that will be happening in the next video tutorial.